Hello and welcome back to another GT scale modelling video. Today's video is a reveal of a kit that actually I've not shown on YouTube yet. It was something I decided to start and just kind of cracked on building it, and it actually didn't take that long. It was quite good to work through a kit from start to finish without it then spending a period of several weeks or months on a shelf half finished in the middle. The kit in question is the Eduard Top Falcons kit. It's one of their limited edition kits depicting an F-16C, I believe, from one of the Aggressor units based at NAS Fallon, the Naval School of Air Warfare. I think it was kind of effectively known as the Navy's Top Gun School. And they have a range of aircraft which basically play the bad guys. And they're unique in that they're often painted in some kind of cool camo schemes, and maybe have some slightly different markings on them and things that you're not standard to your normal US Navy aircraft. Included in the kit was several resin details. So it came with a resin seat, resin wheels, and the exhaust here at the back was resin as well as a photo etch set with some parts for the exterior, but mainly a lot of extra details for the seat belts and around the seat and such things. Choice of colour schemes: there was the one you see in front of you, there was a blue scheme, a grey scheme, and not including the box but around and about there is these aircraft painted with a white, black and grey scheme. I thought I'd go for this sort of more desert scheme just because it was quite different, especially to anything I've painted before. I don't think I've ever painted three-tone camo on an aircraft before. Just have a quick look around, but nope, don't think I have, so that was quite a different thing. I decided I would get some of the Mr. Hobby aqueous colours for this, since they seem to be the kind of closer to the sort of suggested Vallejo colours were quite far off, although I do believe I actually ended up using a Vallejo colour for one, and now I can't remember which colour it was, but that was out of necessity due to the paint actually that I got. The Mr. Hobby colour came and the paint was all, I don't know how you would describe it, but it basically clumped up and it was quite clearly sort of all bitty and things. It was weird. It was like it gone off. I got in touch with the place I'd bought it from. They sent me another. They said they were checking another pot and sent me another one, and it wasn't as bad, but it did the same thing. So as soon as you put it under any pressure in the airbrush, it just gunked up into gunk in the airbrush, and so it was useless. So I did have to replace that one with a Vallejo colour, and now I can't for the life of me remember which one it was. So out of the three on here, I believe it was this sort of mid-tone here, I think. Anyway, the other ones were fine. I kept weathering light to this. I think they're relatively older jets. I think they're quite well looked after. They all seem to be rather kind of clean and shiny. I didn't go for a shiny look. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I did the sort of only weathering I did was a wash. And some very, very light streaking, I think, on the other underside, if I remember, sort of maybe around some of the engine areas, but just very light. These things don't actually carry weapons. They can do. They're not entirely turned into useless aircraft. They can be pushed into service if needs be, but they generally carry I think a relatively unique sort of training simulation pod thing on their centre line, but you don't get that in the kit, which is a bit annoying because that's quite a unique feature of all the Aggressor planes. So I left the centre pylon free. I stuck the wing pylons on because I think planes look cool with pylons on them, and all I did was stuck some fuel tanks on it. Something to carry, I think, the Sidewinder simulation, I guess you'd call it a pod, although it looks kind of just like the body of a Sidewinder without any fins on it. I think they do kind of sometimes carry one of those on a wing pylon, but again, there was none in the kit. Construction wise, I think the plastic is either I think it's Kinetic or Academy plastic in the kit, I can't remember. I had heard from other places that actually the plastic doesn't go together very well, but I had no major issues. The only place I would say was a bit of a fit issue is here on the nose. I assume these are for different marks, so this little panel here on either side of the nose, there was several in the kit. I think they come for different blobs and things on them, and as you can see here, it sits a bit too recessed actually. It just kind of fits in almost too well, to the point that there's a slight lip there. And the same on the other side here, but it's not too bad. I didn't worry about that really too much. I think under paint, as a general overview, it's not something that immediately catches your eye as being an issue. One place, and thankfully it seems to be okay generally under paint, but could be an issue, and is only because the top half is front and back, and there's a tab, but then the tab's only in the middle. So these sides here are free to sort of kind of do what they want as you put them together, and it's a bit of a tricky thing. You can't just stick masking tape across it to hold it, because, well, it just doesn't. So I probably could have done with putting some better bracing on there as that set. I ended up with a little bit of a, not a gap, but did end up with a bit of a mismatch. But a little bit of sort of putty sorted it for the most part, and again, once it's been painted, it's not something that's causing any kind of major issue, at least to my eye. I don't know, maybe other people look at it and immediately notice it, but there we go. Excuse me. Other than that, yep, not bad. There's no piezo tube on the nose because it's plastic and it broke. I have ordered a metal master version, which actually comes with little metal angle of attack probes, which are these. Something to point with, are these ones here, but it never arrived. So hopefully one day it will. I will not replace those; they're fine, but I will stick the piezo tube on the nose. Cockpit was nice. Benefited from the addition of the photo etch and such. So yeah, I'm very surprised. The kit included photo etch static dischargers, so there's 3 on the trailing edge of each wing, there's 3 on the trailing edge of each elevator, and there's 3 on the trailing edge of the tail fin as well. And all, well, what's that, 12, 15 of them are still there. And some of them are slightly crooked from being rebent into shape several times, so, but they're all there, and I'm quite pleased with that. I'm going to show you quickly underneath. The fuel tanks will probably fall off because the fuel tanks are actually not glued on, they actually just push fitted. I probably should glue them on, but at the moment they're just push fitted in. So that's the underside. Wheelbase, we're just given a general sort of dark grimy wash, and that was sort of removed and streaked in places, and the same with the nose gear bay. That's about as much as I could be bothered really. The wheels, it's white, so it's going to white out, but the resin wheels did actually have photo etch brake lines and brake caliper things and stuff, so that's quite nice. I put those on. And the chaff and flare dispensers, they had photo etch sort of grills to give them a bit more depth and detail, so those are on. Now I think there's actually some extra holes in the wings here, because I think potentially there's more pylons you can put on, but there didn't seem to be any in the kit. Well, they are in the kit, but I got a bit confused with the instructions as to what went where and such, and since it wasn't put in, so either I'll eventually get around to putting pylons on it, or basically it'll probably just stay like that with holes in the bottom of the wings. But there we go. So that's about that. I'm really pleased with the paint job. I'm pretty pleased with the construction of it. I do feel every time I do a modern jet, I'm getting better at getting it all neat and tidy in terms of seam lines and joins, and there was a few rescribing efforts on here, and I'm quite pleased with those. So generally I'm quite pleased with how I put this kit together, which sounds weird for somebody who's been building kits for a long time, but I'm always finding ways to improve, and every time I finish a model I'm always like, oh, you know, well, I should have done that differently, and I take that forward to the next kit. So looking along my line of completed bigger jets, I can see an improvement between each of them, you know, and that's good. It's the way I do things, and I'm incredibly pleased with the paint job. As I mentioned, it's the first time I've done 3-tone camo on an aircraft, and it was all freehanded. I didn't mask it. I tried to, and it didn't work. The colours are a bit too complex, and I don't like using... I've never managed to get good results with blue tack sausages. I always get overspraying funny shapes in places, and I'm no good at fixing that sort of stuff. So once things are done in a way, they tend to stay that way with me, right or wrong. So I decided to actually just freehand it, and yeah, considering it was only within a H&S Ultra with a slightly bent needle, I'm actually incredibly pleased with how the paint job came out, and yeah, I hope you'll agree. Excuse the bent tanks, as I said, the pylons are not actually glued on. I will glue them in though. So that's that. I'll put some photos at the end of this so you can see some better close-up photos, especially of things like the cockpit and things that are hard for me to show on the camera there. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this, hopefully relatively short video, and yeah, leave a comment. It'd be nice to hear what you think, and if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try and get some, I keep saying this, try and get some more content out. I have filmed another update on another build, so it'll either already be out or it'll be out after this one. And I've got some other stuff sort of in the pipeline. I've got some other kits that I'm quite desperate to start. I'm scared of them, but I'm keen to start. I've got a Hobby Boss SU-27 flanker. I also got the Hobby Boss SU-34, both of which I really want to start, but both of which I'm kind of scared of, and I'm not entirely sure where they'll go when they're finished. That's the other issue. So that's for another day. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening to my waffle on. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in a future video. Bye for now.